Hello, everyone. I'm Sergio Prieto, Executive Director of Besavilin Consulting affiliated with the Chingo Institute. Today, I want to share with you a story that not only changed my professional career, but also transformed my understanding of work. It's a story of challenges, discoveries, and above all, the importance of problem solving in the pursuit of organizational excellence. Let's go back to 2008. It was a particularly challenging year. I was running a family business dedicated to the production of meat products, and we were facing an unprecedented crisis. Our hamburger forming line was experiencing a drop in productivity, directly affecting 35% of our total revenue. It was if we were navigating turbulent waters, with each wave threatening to sink us. Imagine what that meant: plummeting revenues, constant pressure on the work team, and above all, an atmosphere filled with tension and discouragement. This situation was desperate. We need to find a solution, and fast. We couldn't afford any more delays. The future of the company was at stake. Every day that passed without solving this problem brought us closer to a possible bankruptcy. It was vital to face the situation with urgency and determination. And so I decided it was time to take drastic and immediate measures. I still remember walking through the plant and seeing the operators discarded, the production line halted by constant failures, and a general sense of discouragement in the air. At that moment, my mind was filled with questions. Why was this happening? What was I doing wrong? My initial reaction was to blame the team's lack of discipline and permissive supervision. But soon I discovered that the problem was much deeper. It was then that I decided to embark on a black belt training in Six Sigma. This was a turning point. I learned about the MAKE methodology: define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. It wasn't just about applying tools and techniques, but about developing a new approach to problem solving. So, we formed a multidisciplinary team composed of operators, supervisor, and maintenance personnel. We united with the purpose of solving the problems together, and instead of looking for culprits, we focused on identifying and eliminating root causes. This change in perspective was a radical step towards a new way of thinking. At first, there was distrust. By little, we began to understand and share our experiences related to this situation. It was a transformation that allowed us to discover the potential and strength of working together towards a common goal, filling us with hope and motivation to overcome any challenge. What happened next was extraordinary. In just 3 months, we increased the productivity of the line by 30%. But the most important thing wasn't just the numbers. The real change was the environment that was created: an environment of collaboration, proactivity, where every team member felt valued and empowered. This transformation process taught me something invaluable. Problem solving is not an isolated activity. It is an essential part of a culture of continuous improvement. By stopping looking for culprits and focusing on the process, we began to see results. Years later, I discovered that the Shingo principles perfectly align with my experience. These principles are powerful guides for organizational excellence. Let me share with you how these principles intertwine with my story. Here are some of the principles that were present in this transformation process. First, respect for people. During the months we struggled with the low productivity, I fell into the trap of thinking that the problems were the team's fault. However, by forming a multidisciplinary group, I learned that the true experts on the problems were those who worked in the production line every day. They knew every detail, every failure, and every opportunity for improvement. This change in perspective was liberating. Suddenly, stopped seeing my team as a part of the problem and started seeing them as the solution. I began to see them with all their unlimited capabilities and how enthusiastic they were about exploiting these new capabilities. I fostered an environment where every voice was heard and idea was valued. This mutual respect not only strengthened our team, but also cultivated a culture of collaboration. Another principle, lead with humility. This principle was another revelation. For a long time, I thought that as a director, I had to have all the answers. But I soon realized that my role was not to be the one who knows everything, but the one who guides and facilitates. Starting to acknowledge that I didn't have all the answers was a significant change. By openly explaining the problems we faced, I created a space where everyone could contribute. We held training sessions where we empowered our team to develop their own problem solving capabilities. This approach not only generates more effective solutions, but also fosters a sense of ownership and commitment in every team member. I also had to go through a space of vulnerability, which at first was very uncomfortable for me to navigate. Over time, I understood that leading with humility and vulnerability was not a sign of weakness but a strength. By sharing my own doubts and challenges with the team, I showed that we were all in this together. This type of servant leadership created an environment of trust where every member felt heard and valued. And it was precisely this trust that allowed us to face and overcome the great challenge ahead. Another principle, focus on process. At that time, I didn't know this principle, but today, looking back, I see how it was present in our transformation. Instead of blaming individuals for the line problems, we began to analyze the process. This meant observing each stage and understanding the different losses that occurred. We established a system to map the workflow and detect inefficiencies. Every small change we implement, from machinery adjustment to training improvement, contribute to greater efficiency. By focusing on the process and not on the people, we transform our production lines into a more fluid and productive environment. Scientific thinking. I learned that by looking at facts and data, we could make more informed decisions. we implement simple tools that allow us to experiment and test hypotheses. For example, we started with keeping a detailed record of line stoppage and their causes, which lets us to identify patterns and trends we hadn't considered before. Every time a problem arose, we approach it with an experimental mindset, seeking to understand the root cause instead of just treating the symptom. This approach not only improves our results, but also fosters a continuous learner mindset with the team. Another principle, constancy of purpose. I needed to connect every improvement effort with the broader challenge of the organization. I made a conscious effort to align our productivity goals with the company's long-term objectives and our customer expectations. By doing so, I ensured that every team member understood how their work impacted the organization overall success. This shared sense of purpose united us in a collective effort. Motivation grew, and we were all in the same boat, rowing in the same direction. Seeing this change, I felt deep satisfaction and immense achievement for having guided the team toward a brighter and more promising future. Today, what really motivates me is recognizing from a leadership position how difficult it is to assume the vulnerability of leading good with humility. I have learned that there is a tremendous price we leaders pay when we cling to a rigid position. By not opening ourselves to change and learning, we risk losing the talent of the people around us. Lack of humility can lead to a work culture that is not sustainable over time. It is essential to create an environment where everyone feels valued and motivated to collaborate. When we foster a culture of respect and openness, we not only retain talent, but also build a commitment team that works together to achieve goals sustainable. Problem solving and continuous improvement became a shared responsibility, where every team member contributes their knowledge and experience. This approach not only enriches the organizations, but also creates a workplace where everyone wants to contribute and grow. So, looking to the future, I commit to continue to lead with humility, embracing vulnerability, and fostering a culture where every voice counts. Because at the end of the day, true leadership is not just about directing, but inspiring others to reach their full potential. Now, I accompany other leaders to make this step. The Chingo model, through its principles, systems, and tools, provide us with the foundation to make continuous improvement sustainable. This approach not only allows us to achieve exceptional results, but also ensures that these results are sustainable in the long term. Together, we can build stronger organizations where mutual respect and collaboration are the norm, and every team member feels valued and empowered to contribute to our collective success.